Hello.
It's all about Ghanaian languages. It's all about Ghanaian languages. It's all about Ghanaian languages.
Hello everyone, welcome once again to the Learning Ghanaian Languages with Huniah. And today we are at a location, so kindly pardon any background noise. As usual, we don't always stay at one place. So we are to meet someone very interesting, and to my fellow Ahantas, we want to talk. We are still on you because your language, we all know, Ahanta, we must save it. So we are coming to learn a bit of the Ahanta history and who the Ahantas are. And if you are new to this channel, please do not forget to share with more people to discover whatever we do, so that more people join us in saving the Ghanaian language cause. Because if we don't come together to save our languages, no one will do it for us. So without much time waste, let's just meet our guest. Okay, so he's here. He's going to do his introduction. So please, may we know your name and, if possible, where we are.
Okay, so
You can hold it.
my name is Daniel Kwofi. That is my name. But among the Ahanta people, I am known as Ahanta Apemenyimheneba III. And so, I'm a Ghanaian police officer. I've been serving for the past 14 years in the Ghana Police Service. Yes. So basically, that's what we do, or that's what I do.
Okay.
We are currently at Adenta Dofsu, or the office of Dofsu, something like that.
So Ahantas. Oh, please, you can hold it. So we are at a very interesting location, and we are going to learn from a police officer for the first time. We've never had we've had chiefs, but this is the first time we are hosting a police officer to tell us the history. So you realize that in learning, it's not necessarily about profession. Once the knowledge is there, the knowledge is there. Okay. So Mr. Kwofi, or which one should I use?
Well, basically, people call me Ahanta everywhere.
Ahanta.
And Ahanta is, well, in the police service, everywhere they call me Ahanta. Yes.
Okay, then I'll call you Ahanta.
Yeah, maybe.
My Ahanta is not good, if you remember. I'm still learning Ahanta, so please don't want to laugh at me. Okay, Yepechebo.
Yepachabo. Yepachabo.
Yeka Ahanta abakosema otinzo.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, Akan that is. Yeah. But yeah, so Akan. Yeah, so you are talking about Ahanta history. Well, Ahanta has a long history, and at least we can trace our history way back to Sudan. Yes. So several research has proven or have shown or proven that we were once upon a time in Sudan. So we're in Sudan, and then during the Ottoman Empire expansion, the Muslims were conquering at the time, so several tribes were moving. So Ahantas were part of those who moved at that time. So we are talking about 10 something AD. Yeah, so we're around Sudan. But then we have a long history with the Asian kingdoms, black kingdoms especially, way down to the Sudan, before the Ottoman expansion, and then all other tribes, those who were not ready to be converted to Muslims or Islam, moved. So Ahantas were part of those who moved from Sudan at the time.
So during the movement from Sudan, obviously, we may say they came to the old Ghana Empire.
Yes.
Then
We went the Mali Empire, we went to the Songhai Empire, and so we're there. We're there.
Ghana.
Yes.
There is a bit of deliberation between or how the name Ahanta came about. We have the Fanti version as well, and we have the Ahanta version itself. According to the Fanti, it is Ahanta, like drying. But the Ahantas will also say it is. I've heard several versions. One will say it's land of twins. Some will say Ahayeta. But we still want to learn. So, can you tell us how the name Ahanta came about?
Okay. So there's this dispute whether Ahanta is Guan or Akan. Yeah, but later studies, as some of us continue to unravel, it is fast appearing that Ahanta appears to be more of a Guan more than Akan. So, and the original word is Anyinda. Anyinda. That is why they will tell you the land of twins. Anyinda because there's one Agni in Cote d'Ivoire and there's one Agni here. So the Inda. Anyinda. Yes, so there is also the migration story, which I have personally also written about it several times. Ahatafu, the people who were warming themselves after the crossing the Pura River. You understand? So, but then, if you look at our migration story from Sudan, we came to Senegal. We're in Senegal for some time before we moved. Eventually we found ourselves around the tunnel, circumvented the tunnel. We came to a town called Krenjabu. And Krenjabu is an Agni town, isn't it? Krenjabu is an Agni town. So that is why many Ahantas, the original, some are Ahanta, but I will later come to several migration stories about how someone like me, for instance, my ancestors are typical Agni. And they are the people of Apemenyim. They are typical Agni people. So they trace their ancestry from Krenjabu. My ancestors trace their ancestry to Krenjabu, which is at the back of the tunnel, Cote d'Ivoire now. You understand? After Libo. So that is how. So that is a several migration story. So they moved, came, circumvented, with some partly in the Bono. They came down to Eguafo, and then crossed the Pura eventually around 1229. That is something like that, and then settled at Busia. You've never heard Busia? You've never heard Busia Beach?
Okay, I think I've heard Busia Beach.
Busia
confused me.
So there's Busia Beach. So we settled at Busia. So that's where original Ahanta people settled. So then they surveyed the land. So they went to far west up to Ankobra and realized that there are no settlers on the land. And then they had also come across the Pura area. They had surveyed.
So technically, you are talking about the old Anyins, because since they are from the Anyins.
Yes. And then they went to the north. There's another river called Bonsa River. And so between the Ankobra, the Bonsa, and the Pura, and then behind them is the sea. So they decided, okay, there are no settlers on this land. We'll be here. So they settled. Yeah, so the original Anyi people, they settled. So as year roll on, year go, year by, several other tribes also moved to Ahanta. So we have the Fantis moving, we have the Dangers coming, we have Ashantis coming. And so some tribes, all of them, a lot of them moved into Ahanta. So then Ahanta became a state. And so if you look at the writings of some early Europeans who got contact with Ahanta, like Jean Babot, even in 1700, referred to Ahanta as a federal state. So it means that it's a system of governance where there is a central government, and then there are other listen around it. I don't know. So it's like the United States of America, like the Nigeria, kind of that. So basically, that is what, if you want to know about. And then it's also the reason why, when you ask why they tell you Ahanta is a land of twins, is because there's Agni in the
The twins.
Yes.
The Anyins twins.
Yeah, the twin of Agni.
Yeah.
The twin of Agni. The twin of Agni.
That's why even the language is Anyinda.
Yeah, Anyinda. Make Anyinda. But I've not gotten. Basically, if Agni people are speaking, I listen. I understand. I understand the Sefwi people. I understand. Yes. In fact, there was a time I have a friend called Bako Mohammed. He is from the north, and Bako is a Chakosi. The first time I went to his house and they were talking, I could listen to what they were talking. So I asked Bako, which language do you speak? They said Chakosi. I was like, Chakosi, are you sure? Because I can really understand your language. He said yes, it's the Akan or the migration stories and that. So basically, if you want to know, that is how we've been. Yes.
Okay. Well, those who followed my trip to Takrady, my 1 week trip to Takrady, okay, realize I was with Alex Ampon Aka at is it Apuai?
Yeah, Abouan. We call it Abouan.
Sometimes the Ahanta names are too heavy for me. Yeah. And so, even myself, remember I'm a Guan speaker, and listen to Ahanta, I was even relating it to how Guans we say K and those say Kre, and a whole lot. Yeah, when you study Ahanta, I'll confirm, because I'm a pure Guan speaker.
Okay.
Like, it's almost Guan, but sometimes I find it hard why the earlier linguists, they didn't realize it was Guan, and anyways, it's still
it's because we ourselves we didn't the earlier linguists they studied, they tried to structure languages, they tried to associate based on, basically, you see, environment influence people. Environment, it influenced their culture, their traditions and everything. Another typical class of Ahanta right now are the Vetime people in the Volta region. But if you go there right now, their system of inheritance, everything is patrilineal. Everything about them has changed.
And they even speak an Ewe-like.
Yes, you understand. So, but if you meet an Avetime person, every Avetime person who knows his or her history will tell you he's an Ahanta first.
Sure.
You understand? Yeah, I was surprised. I had learned, I had read, I had already studied that Avetime people are Ahanta people. But I felt like it's one of the things written in books. But where I stay right now in Abokobi, I live with another man, and very old, an elderly person. He's about 90 something. A retiree who worked with foreigner. I mean, he was a chief director for minister or something, minister of from some time back. So the first day he met me and he asked me, "Young man, where do you come from?" I said, "I come from Takrady." He said, "Takrady." I said, "Okay." Then he said, "I said I'm an Ahanta." He said, "Oh, we are relatives." Then so I was like, where do you come from? I said, no, I'm an Avitimi, but we are Ahanta. We are the same people. So you understand? Then I go to believe that it is true.
And even that to confirm, okay, maybe for the knowledge for everyone. You know, in Avitimi, when they want to say who, okay, they say who as Ane. That is who, Ane. Now, in all Guan languages, they say it as Ane.
You see.
When you go to a Duke room, Ane. Any. Gonja is Wane.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so you can feel the Ane. But you know, presently.
And we also say, no, we say Eni. Who is that? Eni. Who is that?
So are you saying Eni? So, but like, you know, Ahantas evolved.
Oh, yes. Over the years.
So you don't really feel the Guan touch. But like, if you really know Guan and you sit Ahantas down and you interview Ahantas, you will know that this is Guan. And then when you want to feel the Guanness, you have to go to Enyi. Because all Guan say come as ba. And Enyi, come in Enyi is also ba. And when you want to say maybe, what's the name? Elderly person. The Anyins say elderly is Ani, and then in Guan is Anum. Modification. A whole lot. You know, it's only Guans. You know, Guan is just like Akan, but it's different. Only Guans that have this big sound. Akan like language, but has this big. And you feel it in Anyins, in Nzema, Ahanta. But you know, by the Akan languages, you don't have this big. No, you don't have them. Like there's a whole lot, but it's not.
Yeah, but for me, if Agni is Guan, then Ahanta is Guan.
Yes.
And if Agni is Akan, then Ahanta is Akan, because Agni, these are people at Sefwi. They are all the same. I mean, if they are speaking, you hear. You listen and you know that they are speaking. The language they are speaking, you understand. Yes. You might not be able to speak like the way they are speaking, but you understand. Yes.
And you know the funny thing? All Guans say, call a visitor as Afwe. And then they used to also say Efwe. But then another Evro.
Visitor.
Yeah.
Yevro.
Afwe.
Yevro.
Evolved. Then
yeah, so a visitor is a Yevro.
Then it is Efwe.
So
you feel the, but you know that the tree has got nothing to do with.
Okay, I get it.
In the Chumbulu Guan, okay, far in the north, when they will say black, they say Kituntun. And I know Ahanta is Tunduni. Yeah. So you know, in Chumbulu, so what they do, they always like to add K to every word. So when you take the K, you get Tuntun. So the T has been evolved into Ahanta Tunduni.
Yeah, Tunduni is black.
Like a whole lot. So when they will say bone in Chumbulu is Kibowi.
Bowli.
But that's what they like this kick. Every word kick. So you hand kisari, stomach, camelot, this, kia, this. But like there's no whether there's no kick in it. The reason is that they say singular as let's add K. Every word that is singular, let's add K. When it's plural, we take off the K. So you don't really feel, but when you know the Guan languages, you okay. And you said you've written an article. Can you tell us about the article or the book so that others who are really interested in it can, if it is here, you show it to us?
Oh, several articles. I mentioned my name, Ahanta Apemenyimheneba III.
Okay.
So
the name is showing on the screen. Okay?
Yes, so that name, if you Google it, you have every article you want to read about Ahanta, everything you want to know. Yes.
So, at least we've learned that Ahanta is a land of twins. If possible, can you tell us how some of the names of towns, how the few you may know, how they came about to educate our young ones?
Yeah, some of the names of the town, you can talk like Dagbon, which has now turned to Apoin. So the original word is Aboma, which is grass cutters. There used to be a lot of grass cutters in that area. So it's Aboma, then became Apawai. Yes, and then you can talk about Ezakumi, which is second D. Second D, which is that's the original Hunter word for it. Ezakumi. Eza Ikumi. Pepe is killing me. Eza Ikumi. So they used to have that is old ancestral narrations. They used to have these hot peppers around the area, and so it became known as Eza Ikumi. So it became yes. So then we have a town like Obulusua.
Sua is room or
Sua is village.
Sua. And then Awolo is
Obulu.
house.
Yeah, so the deaf village. Obulusua, which is Busia. Busia, the capital of all Ahantas. The capital of Obulusua. And it used to be. There are several narrations. There are not several narrations to that. The ancient, according to some, when the people came, they settled in some part of Busia right now called Mbambanizo. Mbambani is the elderly. Mbambanizo, so where the elderly stayed or where they lived, and so the people were hit with diseases, and so they moved from that place and came to their current location, which is between. There's another stream there called Owusua, like there's a stream there like that, and so they say between these two streams, Owulusukome. Death, depart from me or leave me. And so it became Olusua. And then once also there's another narration is that during the early days of Ahanta kings, you go there, if you offend any of Ahanta laws and you go there, you don't come back. So they are saying that yes, your law, your local Olusua. We are sending you to the deaf village.
Matito.
Adeto. So it became Obulusua.
Okay, so we've learned a whole lot with our facilitator, and it's getting very, very interesting. So maybe he wants to top up with something. So now, we've spoken of second D, and you execute then Ezakome, yes. I don't know. So now that we are on we are building up from second D. Like, I don't know if you have more to tell us, because I'm sure there are children obviously watching. They want to learn. So
that's a bit of second D. Then we have Takrady. We have heard a lot of people telling us different stories. In fact, sometimes those who do not even know the Ahanta's history try to narrate the Ahanta history and give us a name that does not fit us. Many times I've heard that they say Takrady is a name that comes from a certain tree called what's the name of the tree? I've even forgotten the name of the tree. But what it is that the name Takrady itself comes from a fort called Fort Takari. That fort is also called Fort Winston. And that fort was built by the Dutch in 16 something, I think 1655, 16 something. You can Google it, Fort Winston or Fort Takari. And The ruins of that fort can still be found behind Atlantic Hotel, currently in Takoradi.
Okay.
So the ruins are still there.
Okay.
So that is that fort that eventually they named the fort corrupted, and so as even in the Dutch were later on referring to the place as Takurorai.
Wow.
Takurorai.
Well, and you can mention such a name.
Yes, they were
You
referring.
can mention it.
They were referring it as Takurorai, and then by 1870s that the English took over, it had become Takoradi, which ends up with DE.
Oh, okay.
And then by 1900 we have Takoradi, which now is spelled, the last word is DI.
Oh, okay.
And so sometimes those who try to narrate that say, I forgot a certain tree. They say Takoradi is the name of a certain tree. In Takodadzils, something like that. I said, look, this is not what it is. This is not what it is. And that Fort Takari is where the Ahanta king at the time, Bedibonso II, killed Tony Boja, who was then the Dutch governor of Dutch Gold Coast. And that resulted in the first and the second Ahanta war. In the first Dutch Ahanta and the second Dutch Ahanta war, whereby in July 1838, Bedibonso II was killed, beheaded, and the head was taken to Netherlands, precisely Hague, Leiden University, where the head was kept there for 170 years before it was brought to Ghana in 2009.
Wow.
And so Ahanta has a lot of history. So like I said, the indigenes, the early Ahanta people came around 1220 something. They were there. They were the original Anyi people, the Krinjabo people who crossed over and came. Other tribes subsequently also came. And then especially the expansion of the Ashanti Empire also led to a lot of Ashantis, dangerous, also migrating to Ahanta, and Fantis. They also came. And so, and then by 1500, later 1400, later part of 1400 to early 1500, they got in touch with the Portuguese. And so after the Portuguese built Elmina, the second oldest castle in Ghana is that of Axim.
Oh, okay. Nzema.
Yes.
Evaloe.
All those places are Ahanta.
Really?
Yes. So Ahanta is the land between Pra and Ankobra.
Okay.
So any land, any part of the land that is between these three rivers, River Ankobra, River Bonsa, and River Pra, and the sea is Ahanta.
Okay, it makes sense though, because Evaloe itself sounds more Ahanta, like it's not Ahanta mix.
Evaloe is Edindele Ifra. Edindele Ifra, because the language was mixing with that of the Nzema.
Yeah, it's true.
So it Edindele Ifra, then it became Evaloe.
Yeah. For that one I will agree, because it's more Ahanta than Nzema.
It's Ahanta.
Yeah.
So that catchment area where I've shown you,
Okay. So
that's why I'm saying that the second oldest castle is Fort Saint Antonio, which is built in Axim.
Okay.
And Axim is Ahanta.
Okay.
Now they say is whatever, but Axim is Ahanta.
Okay.
Axim is Ahanta. And sign, all these areas are Ahanta, typical Ahanta lands. And so, but there are events and sequences which led to all these things. So fast forward, when they got in touch with the Portuguese did not really mingle with Ahantas. They were much more into religion and trade. You understand? And even it is the Portuguese themselves wrote that the gold they found in Axim were much more than the one they found in Elmina, which gave Elmina its the name that it has. The mine. But the reason why they could not penetrate Ahanta at the time, because Ahanta was seriously resisting. They didn't know the whites, and they were not giving them chance to enter Ahanta at the time. And so fast forward, the Portuguese came, and then they built Antonio in Axim, and then time goes on. Then the Dutch also came. The Dutch came, the Swiss came, the French came, the Germans also came.
I saw that the English.
And then the English also came. In fact, the English were they were later. The English also came. You understand? And so that enclave, that Ahanta enclave, had all the European powers struggling there. The Germans were there, the French were there, the Danes were there, the Swiss were there, the Dutch, all of them were there. And so then it became the local tribes, the indigenous tribes at that time in what was then referring to as the Gold Coast were aligning themselves with various European powers, because those European powers were supplying them with arms, with guns. So if you are a tribe and you fail to align, you are likely to be extinct. And so Ahantas also felt that, okay, if the Fantis and others were associating with other tribes and other here and there, then we also associate with the Dutch. Then we also associate with the Dutch. So in 1656, if I may be right, at Butry in Fort Bartenstein, they signed what we call the Butry Treaty. And so that Butry Treaty, it was more of a mutual interest, mutual benefits. You are that, I am that. Mutual benefits. So that was what happened in 1556. And so they were there, Ahantas were there with them, and then fast forward, they realized that Ahanta kings realized that the Dutch became exploitative. You understand? Initially, it was then they started selling human beings. They started doing a lot of things that the Ahanta kings felt that it's exploitative, or you're exploiting our people. And the most radical of them was Bedibonso II. Bedibonso II. So Bedibonso II,
He was the one whose head was cut.
yes, Bedibonso II felt that, look, you cannot continue to exploit my people. I want all the Dutch people out of my land. And so that brought confusion between him and the Dutch, especially when he made a declaration that no guns and gunpowder should be sold on Ahanta lands, because Ahanta was a center of economic power for the Dutch. And so now that you are saying that we should not sell all these things, you are crippling our enterprises in Ahanta. And so they instigated some of Ahanta chiefs, especially the chief of Sekendi, that look, go ahead and sell the guns. If Bedibonso try to deal with you, we will protect you. And so chief of Sekendi started selling the guns. There became a fight between Bedibonso and the chief of Sekendi. They used to be very good friends. So Bedibonso felt betrayed that no one should do this to me, because Sekendi at the time was Ahanta's center of excellence and education. All Ahanta royals were being trained at Sekendi. You cannot ascend the throne if you have not been educated at Sekendi. That is where they were teaching all the Ahanta customs and practices and tradition. Everything about Ahanta was that time at Sekendi. And so Bedibonso had of a true, which was the chief of Sekendi at the time, because that's where they were going to. That was where they were practicing everything about Ahanta. And so they had his royals there. And so Bedibonso was like, if someone should betray me, it shouldn't be you. So it became a fight. Eventually, it resulted in what we call the first and the second Ahanta-Dutch War. Bedibonso was killed. And then, yes. So in 1871, the Dutch sold all their trade possessions. Bedibonso was not even the only person who was killed. That day, Ahanta, they killed Bedibonso. They burnt all Ahanta towns. Takoradi was completely brought to rubble. They burnt all Ahanta towns. They killed Bedibonso, and in September 1838, they hung 5 Ahanta royals at Elmina, and then they put 12 of them in ship and sent them to the Dutch Indies, and then 36 of them were made slaves at Elmina. And so go come.
I have a question. So with regards to Bedibonso's head, is this so, or it has been buried now?
No, the head is still there. That is why some of us Ahantas feel like we need. I have been saying that the head is still there, and
I think it should be buried.
Well, we did a research. We conducted a research, and many Ahanta people are saying that it should be put in a museum or mausoleum or something like that, so that they would tell their children that, look, once upon a time this king defended our people, this king did that for us.
I feel he should rest in peace.
Well, it's a debate that is going on. So yeah, so there's a lot about Ahanta. And we have been very quiet in Sekendi Takoradi, so people think we don't exist.
Yeah,
and people think that Sekendi Takoradi is a fancy land. It's never been a fancy land.
You know, like a whole lot of questions, but
bring them.
I feel like we have to split this video into 2 sections.
Okay.
Yeah. Ahanta issue 1 and Ahanta issue 2. So we shall pause here. This is the part 1, so that we will bring you the part 2 at a later time.
Right.
Yeah, because for our Ahanta language learners, the men, you are rather interested in Ahanta language. As well as Larry, you are always in the language. And we'll pause with the issue. We'll get back, because I have a whole lot of questions, but I'll reserve them. So, Papa Ahanta, it's actually called Ahanta.
Yeah, that's what they call me.
Okay. Could you, if you have a message to your fellow Ahantas, you can say it in Ahanta, Infanti, anyway. Because Ahantas and Infanti is like, I don't know how to say it. Do I say Bob Marley and we? You are inseparable.
Yes. Yes. So, well, okay. So,
your final message, your book.
It's interesting. Many of them have read. There has not been. I think in recent time, no one has brought out the details of Ahanta more than I have done. Yeah. But many of them don't know them by face. They only read my posts and my write-ups. Okay, so yes, so mimi mama and mammo musique ebimo benga nyeni memekale na anda de edititi juko anda wakani ansana ebimo bara na anda bakoseme ya ka anda bakoseme ya se ezi anda bakoseme ya akozo alama wa ban kugulo na elebela me ka anda bakoseme ni maminya awunses beso nkube enti abela me itie mi na ka bela me ikra me ni Ahanta Apemenyimheneba III mami ade and Miss Mabela be me mi e wona ya ma yevo yeduo nke anda me de dele kan and debla ni ka bela me kan ameso nyamre eche me ameso ye de me va malie malanda. And let's continue to be proud of ourselves. I mean, it's so unique. We are very ancient people if you look at our history and where we come from. Sadly, yedindele eko akla scampla sekeni takra de mo akwa banankon afaba chukwasindime scampla bo mo akọ edindele hola ekoya edindele eko ba ma meze mo akọ emia ya ho na ya hadindele na edindele ya nanamo be hane dindele en be va maye enta dindele amaye maegu ewa me ya brezo na iwu a ebi okania sa bebizi aya elekwa ka yimu enti be ma ya o modern la na ya dindele na dindele wake mala belase.
Okay, yela base.
Mala belase.
The first time I understood Ahanta
100%. And it's not difficult. Actually, it's not difficult. Oh no, it's not difficult. But you heard everything I said, Scampala.
Because I'm learning. Because also like you shouldn't kill the language. You skip from.
At first,
I'll never read those Campbells right now. But this language.
It's a unique language. It's
difficult.
Oh, it's a unique language. Okay. We have had it. Yeah, a lot happened to us, but we are still around. Some of us are telling our people that revive the language, let the language live.
So, Ahanta Male, Yalabasi ke Behre, Behla. I understood, but I can't speak it. I can't replicate, but I can understand. Okay, thanks for watching. And all I want to say is, let's keep projecting Ahanta, because if we don't project, no one will project for us. I'm not Ahanta. I'm a pure Gan, like most of you know. I'm pure Gan, but see how I keep projecting Ahanta, and I don't rest. So if I am doing it, if he is doing it, what are you also doing? So without much I say, Milabase.
Go.